Hey guys, how's it going? It's Kire here, joined in person with DM, and in today's video, we're going to show the largest power spike in all of Diablo Immortal. It is coming soon. We're going to break this all down here, and what better way to do it than in person with DM?
Yeah, no, I don't think many people know that we actually are friends in real life, and we got an in-person collab, baby.
Yes, yeah.
The highest quality collab you will ever see on this channel. So check this out here. The first bit. Paragon skill calculator, and you want to walk through what we're looking at?
So this is data mined information, especially when it comes to Mastermind, but we're on the soldier tree. I believe that was also in the beta. And so this is the Paragon skills that we're going to be getting at Paragon 150. These both unlock, and they're actually pretty insane on the amount of increases that we're going to get here.
It's correct. Basically, if you look through these, like the soldier one is going to be a little bit more about like survivability. You're going to be getting some first aid, recovering your health, etc. As you go through here, it's a little bit more about just sustaining combat. However, this is okay, and we probably could go through this and talk about this, but I really don't think this is the interesting one, if I'm being honest, because if you, just to wrap up my point, if you look here at the sacrifice, your death grants 15% additional damage reduction to all party members for 15 yards for 6 seconds. 15 yards is nothing in this game.
Yes. And also, your death, the whole point is to not die. And so your death doing that, like, that's really not the best thing in the world. I would want my sacrifice to be way more than just that.
I completely agree. And so where it gets interesting for me is Mastermind. So why don't you talk about Mastermind?
This one's insane. Let's go to the crit rate boost. This one's all about having multiple different classes in your party, and it's really going to benefit from that in multiple ways. So you get the extra critical hit chance when you have a different class in your party. They're all represented there, so you can't stack up. You can't have like 2 DHs, for example. Then let's go to the one where it increases the damage to bosses, because I think this is really, when it comes to running PvE content, this is the thing that actually speeds you up, is these little bursts where you kind of go through the waves, but it's the boss that's going to be the difficult part, and not necessarily difficult, but time-consuming part. You smoke him really fast, and you're going to be able to do that way better now with Find Weakness. So while
this is what I like about this is just flat additional. Like, you're not replacing anything for this. We're not going back and we're not saying, oh, well, now I'm not getting my treasure hunter. Like, what you're doing is straight up making damage taken by vulnerable targets is increased by 20%. Which is a huge amount of DPS. We also know when you're the Immortal, you get all those crowns and everything. So if you get like a warband, you're doing a warband raid, you proc the invulnerable, you all use your crowns, etc. Like you're saying, it helps with the burst timings.
Yes, they're going to absolutely melt. Also, you don't lose out on flat stats, because look, you got the 20 life and 20 damage there. So this is just going to be a good set to go for, even if you don't have this Paragon tree active. So I think this is awesome. And
you don't have to claim the armor. And you notice it's only 5 points in potency, 15 in armor pin, which is like, okay, armor pin's not too bad. You don't have to claim the willpower.
Correct.
All right. You can claim the damage. You do have to claim the life, but these are all stats that you basically want. And there's an argument to be made. You don't even have to go down the life to get this.
I just want this. I just want this and this. Yeah, you would just end it at Find Weakness, and also what is this called again?
Find Weakness and Covert Operations, which gives you 10% more crit chance, because it's 2.5 for each different class. Obviously, we're going to have 4 different classes within the party, which is a huge amount of DPS. So it ends up looking something like this. You activate the tree, and it's really not that many points, right? And then you can put some points in some other...
50, like 50 points here.
Yeah.
So, which is great. Like that's as much as I put into... Treasure Hunter, where we're gonna, at 150, we're gonna have a ton of points to be able to use here. We're just gonna keep getting more and more, so it's gonna be a no-brainer to do this. Like, I think this is gonna be a crazy DPS increase.
So I think it's important to tell people when you're gonna be getting this. You'll be getting this at 150 Paragon. So upcoming to the game, the server level, I think now in our servers, like 122, if I remember. I think I'm like right at server Paragon, because I haven't played in a few days.
Yeah, so we're right around there.
Yeah, we're right around there. So because of that, it's going to be pretty soon that we're going to start seeing Mastermind stuff pop up. People seem pretty consistently to be 10 to 12 levels above if they're like heavy
crazy
grinding.
Yeah, if you're doing that, you're doing the ship farm, you're running a circle in ROD, you're going to be about 10 to 11 higher. So I'm thinking maybe in like, we're 10 days away from people starting to hit 150?
That sounds about right. But if you look here, there's one other bit that's going to be happening that I know we've talked about before, but I think it's important to mention here. When we hit 150 Paragon, we're going to be unlocking something additional within our sets. You want to go over that?
Well, this is why I think it's the biggest power spike in the history of the games, because you're getting the combination of this really good Paragon system, and we're finally getting the full 6-piece sets. And some of these are absolutely absurd. The big one I want to talk about is going to be the summon one. because that one you get they go into a frenzy. You already have the critical hit chance, and then they go into a frenzy, and also Shalbaz set. Because I think those are going to be the two big ones when it comes to really making a big DPS increase for people. So this one right here, what we don't know, see primary attacks have a 5% chance to increase your attack speed for 12 seconds. We don't know how much that attack speed increase is going to be. So already it's very good. It has the 50% increase to your auto attack. So if you're like a demon hunter, for example, it's basically right up there with best in slot or arguably best in slot. Then you get the attack speed increase. Then you get another additional attack speed increase. That could be absurd.
We don't know.
Or it could be lackluster, and then you're going to want to 4-piece it or something like that. But then if you're like a necromancer, the massive damage increase you're going to be getting from Shepherd's set here is going to be pretty crazy because your summons enter a frenzied status for 12 seconds. Like, that's so cool. And to be able to, and we're finally going to.
And that one states it too. Like, it states it right on there. I had to go small so people could actually read it here. But basically, it's 60% damage and attack speed. So this set right here, Shepherd set, is going to give you a 60% bonus to damage and attack speed.
Which is
crazy.
Absolutely insane.
And I can tell you, when I was doing Necromancer, the new laser shoulders hit all the time.
I watched that video. That was actually really cool. Like how they...
It's really good. And you know it pairs with the Wizard Crystal. So you can actually... The mages will purposely target the crystal.
That's so crazy.
It's actually nuts.
And then also the Flagellant set, I think, is worth mentioning as like kind of... This is just pure damage right here, where the continual damage. Now let's go to that one. So this one, where each time you deal damage, you have a 4% chance to unleash a lightning strike, dealing X amount of damage. That's going to be dependent on your personal damage to nearby enemies and stunning them for 1 second. Yeah. So that's going to be insane for challenge rifts.
Well, I think stunning is interesting too because it's going to proc Chip of the Stone Flesh.
Yes.
So there's not many things to proc Chip of the Stone Flesh, which makes that gem devalued. So I think that value of that gem will increase once people start using this because I do think this is one of the sets people will be using fairly commonly. I do think there might be a chance that they only use a 4-piece on this one, and then maybe 2-piece something else. Like if you're a Necro, there would be an argument for a 2-piece of this, or a 4-piece of this and a 2-piece for the other one. But I think Shepherd probably overrides.
You can mix and match, but I feel like this is probably the biggest straight buff to barbarians I've seen. Like,
I can see what you're saying.
Could be absolutely insane. Because of the whirlwind, they don't have really a good way to proc Chip of Stone Flesh, so they're going to get a massive damage increase because they can actually follow up on that. They're spinning, they do that, then they get the stuns, they already have Undying Fury, so it's like they have so many ways to not only survive, even if they take a ton of damage. So I feel like Barbarians become one of the best, if not the best class in Challenge Rifts. You know, like they're still not Necro,
right?
But they're really good in Challenge Rifts.
That Whirlwind's going to become better for sure.
Yeah, so... I think this is going to be absolutely insane. Is there anything else that's standing out to you with these new changes?
I mean, the thing is, I think there's here's what it is that at 150, basically, I think we've had 75% of the game. Yeah. And we're getting 100% of the game. What's unlocked. So there's an argument to be made for any one of these sets once you actually put builds together. Because at the moment, I think there's only like 2 or 3 builds, like at the most 3 builds per class, right? Yeah. But I think this might actually open up the Diablo experience a little bit, where people will be able to try some more wacky stuff. Because if you get ones where they proc off different things, like the summons and stuff, I want to see a monk with the summon set. You know what I mean? See if that works. I want to see a Necro with the damage over time.
Barb you can just hit that with Echoing Shade, plus you can have 2. You can literally fill your screen with like, 5 different clones, like 3 clones, 2 of your other guys with the
it's gonna be a lot of fun.
Yes, and I think it really opens the game up to finally having some diversity, like you're saying, where you can really try out these builds, and you're not like, oh man, this would be cool, but like, man, if I can only have the 6-piece set and whatever, we finally get to have it.
I think that's my biggest gripe with the game, to be honest. I like it's hard to play one class. I would stay with Necro was the plan, but it's what am I going to do? Play the same build for 6 months? So it's there's no. I'm waiting around for this 150 to try out the summon build again because I've just been doing the other builds. They're seems better than me. So now that the summon build's actually going to be, in my opinion, crazy.
Yeah, it's gonna be so crazy. Yeah, now it makes me want to try this out against like really hard bosses that you really get a benefit from your damage. Like you really get a feel like it's not just like these dungeons where we just smoke them instantly, where we get our combo and then now they're at the invulnerability stage. Like I want to do like world bosses or something like that where we get to really see just how much damage we can do.
That's what I would like to see. Some big world bosses, kind of another topic. But one point I wanted, speaking of bosses, is I think Warband reliquary bosses, because we know there's a new boss coming up here, right? So, or Heliquary, I should say, not Reliquary.
Isn't it like in 2 days? It's in 2 days.
Yeah, it's the 31st. So we got the Battle Pass about over. So when these new bosses coming out, I'm wondering how much they're going to balance it around the fact that people have 150 Paragon, have things like the weakness for the bosses. Like I'm wondering if is there going to be a difficulty jump, and they're expecting us to have these PvE type of builds with these sets. Like is it going to be we now see a 60% life bump up, like even more than the combat rating would have done? Relative. Cool. So I'm kind of curious to see exactly how hard they get, because in my opinion, the Helicore bosses are like the only real bosses in the game, right?
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah.
So I mean, other than the Immortal boss, but that's a player.
That or like sometimes I feel like because of how the combat rating system works, the bosses feel that way in Path of Blood. Like those feel really hard, and I like them that there's no ads. It's like some of them have ads, but it's just it feels like it's you versus that boss, and it's just like let's trade 1v1.
So Paragon 150 is going to be changing the game a pretty good amount. Let us know if you agree, disagree, why not in the comments down below. Like this guy's video because this will be going on his channel, and please do subscribe to him.
I appreciate that. Yeah, thanks for joining the video. I think this is a big deal in the game. Curious to hear you guys' thoughts down below, and we are out of here.